Das Forum Nordicum wird unterstützt durch die deutsche Avia Mineralöl GmbH.
Good morning also from our side, maybe short introduction. So I'm Daniel Böhm, Sport and Event Director at the IBU. It's a great pleasure to be here, and today I'm joined by Lorenzo, as Thorsten said. Lorenzo is the Digital Marketing Manager in IBU and will give you some insights in that area. I guess it's my fourth time at the forum meanwhile, and the first time I will present in English because I think it's a way more international audience than we were used in the last years, and it's definitely the first time where we have comfortable seats like that, so I guess we can use them. We would like to give you a short overview today about what we are doing in IBU, what has been done in the previous month since we met last year, and also some updates about what is going on social media, what are our plans in terms of introducing also influencers and content creation at IBU events. Before I dive in the dry part of our institutional updates, I would like to share also something about the Loop 1 Festival. Hopefully most of you have heard about it. We will be in Munich in October, pretty much 4 weeks to go until that. And it's the first ever IBU organized event. Not saying that this is a quality mark, but it's definitely a challenge for all of us. And we see how much appreciation we should give our organizers in the wintertime, because it's a lot of work, but hopefully it will be worth it. We are all very excited to go to Munich, and I hope to see a lot of you there as well. Just a brief overview about what we are doing and why we are doing it. So our intention is to bring biathlon to a city, to an urban environment, and with the sport in the focus. We also want to widen the scale and the scope of the event and make it to a festival where you can really explore all the different facets of our sport. That means a lot of activations, for sure food and beverage, music, but I will deep dive a bit more on the next slides. So why did we decide to do the Loop 1 Festival? There are 4 main reasons for doing it. One is that we want to create a real season opening, even though there will be no World Cup points, and I assume I will get more questions on that later on. But with 5 weeks to go to the winter season, we really want to kick off the season from our side and to create attraction for the winter season to come. We want to present the sport to a different audience, a younger audience. We want to focus also on Gen Zers, on people who had no touch with biathlon before in this environment. And we want to check if we can improve our sports presentation. In the summertime, and especially in a city, you have different opportunities compared to our traditional setups in the winter, and we see it as an ideal sandbox also to try new approaches here. The same applies for summer biathlon in general. I think it's nothing wrong with saying that the Summer Biathlon World Championships so far have not been on the level we all wished, and we want to try a slightly different approach to summer biathlon with bringing it to a city center with a slightly different format, but still with the top athletes. So a short overview of what will happen. We will be in the Munich Olympic Park on the 18th and 19th of October. If the weather is on our side, we expect approximately 20 to 25,000 spectators. Just a short side story, when we applied for the permission at the city of Munich for the event, our concept, security concept, etc. were scaled to 15,000, and the first thing we got back is, if the sun is shining in October, please be prepared for 25. So let's hope we are lucky with that. And what we decided quite early is that we want to have free of charge entry for the spectators. We will only sell tickets for the grandstands, for the shooting range, but the rest of the festival is open for everyone, and I think this is showing our access. It's not a revenue creation event for us, it's really a reach initiative, and we really want to reach a new audience. When it comes to the schedule, a brief overview. On Saturday We will have a lot of activation areas. We will have a para biathlon competition. We will have a youth race in the afternoon with young German athletes mainly. We will have some meet and greet sessions with athletes and a lot of activations finishing in music acts on the stage. The lineup is also communicated meanwhile, and the main act is Kamrat. For German speakers, this might be familiar. He's quite a famous actor in Germany, and we really hope to combine this music as a pull effect also to bring people to the sport. On Sunday will be the main race with our top athletes, and I can give you more insights who will be there later on, but everything will be around those races. It's more sports focused, and the venue will look like that. We will have a shooting range on the lake on a platform, and the course will go around the Olympic lake. So not too much to say. It will be no steep uphills there, but still, I would say, a challenging course. If we look at the stadium a bit more in detail, you can see this platform here. We will have a penalty loop there, and what is marked in yellow will be the grandstands with a capacity of approximately 9,000 people. So it should be really a nice stadium atmosphere as well. For those of you who think about attending it, also in an official function, just a brief overview, and I guess you will get the slides afterwards. The media center will be also directly on site for sure. I'm pretty sure that those of you who are interested are already informed or know whom to reach. Maria, as usual, also in the winter, is coordinating all the accreditations. So if the weekend is still free, please consider to come to Munich. Since we will have a super sprint competition there for the top athletes with qualification heats in the morning and finals in the afternoon, we also thought about doing something a bit different for the start of the finals, and we will have the athletes presentation in the BMW World, which is just across the street of the Olympic Park. We really want to present the athletes in a slightly different way before they start into the race, and then guide them over to the arena as kind of a warm-up loop. I wouldn't compare it to Formula One, but maybe it's the best comparison we can come up with. So they will be guided to the start and then have a flying start over there. Some sport facts: the loop length will be approximately 1,800 meters. We will have 15 targets installed on the lake. Shoot with small bore rifles on fully electronic targets. Those of you who are not that familiar, they are similar to what we know from sports shooting, and some of you might have the Dresden City event recently. The benefit is that you can really see the shot coordinates right away, which adds additional value, and positive side effect is that we can collect all the bullets also without any splatters. So it's a new target system we hope to also implement in the winter step by step, and it's the first IBU competition we will have them. No spare bullets and the penalty loop. So those are the hard facts. When it comes to who will be there, we have set up a quota system similar to what we are used to in the winter. So all teams, based on their rankings, will receive a certain quota. This was also discussed together with our federations, because some of you might wonder, why is it only four for the top nations? But this is in line with what they see also possible at this time of the year in terms of training and preparation for an Olympic season. We will have 4 qualification heats with 15 athletes in the morning. That adds up to 60 athletes overall per gender. In the qualifications, there will be 3 loops to run with 2 shootings, prone and standing. And the top 3 of each heat will qualify for the finals, plus 3 lucky losers by the best time. Small backdoor, which we kind of had to install, is that if none of the top 4 teams will qualify via those spots, the best athlete of such team will qualify for the final. I know this opens a lot about fairness in sport, and I'm happy to answer questions around that also later on. But this is how it will be done, and 5 loops will be run, so it's pretty much a mastered competition. Just a short repetition of what I said. We will present the athletes before the finals at the BMW World, guide them over, and we will have a flying start at the venue. More details about the rundown, I think you will have time to deep dive if you are interested when you get the slides, but it just shows that the days are quite packed, both on Saturday and on Sunday, and here you can see that the heats will start at 11 with the finals to come at 3:30 and respectively 4 o'clock or 4:15 in the afternoon. When it comes to the interest and registration, both from team side, but also especially from broadcast perspective, 25 national federations will participate. All top athletes are registered, and this is something I'm super happy about, that all the nations really kept their commitment to come with their top stars, so we will really have the premium lineup which we are used to from the winter. There's no name missing currently. For sure, we don't know if somebody will get sick or injured until that, but in case everybody is fit, we will have all the stars in Munich. On the para side, there are 18 athletes, so it's a bit of a small scale competition here, but in all different classes, we really want to show what para sport and para biathlon means. And when you see the list of broadcasters, I guess it also shows that we are widely represented live on TV in most of our core markets. This is it about the Loop 1 Festival from my side, but also on the communication side, we tried a slightly different approach, and here I would like to hand it over to Lorenzo.
Thank you, Danny. And yeah, as you mentioned, also from a communications and marketing side, we believe that Loop 1 Festival is a way to present biathlon in a fresher way and in a different way for new audiences, but also for our loyal fans. And that's the reason why basically we have decided to go beyond our traditional communication channels and to identify 3 key audiences we want to target via our marketing campaign. We are talking about families, so parents with kids. We are talking about actives, so sporty people. And we are also talking about experience seekers. So in the experience seekers, we basically include people belonging to younger generations that are not mainly interested in the sport, but they may come to the event for the festival side and, of course, discover the sport through the festival side. For this reason, we are planning a dedicated marketing strategy based on targeting people living in Munich and in the region, and we have also created dedicated social media channels. We have created a dedicated website that is available both in English and in German, so I invite you to check all the information and all the program on the official website. As I mentioned, from a marketing side of things, we really would like to leverage the Loop 1 Festival as an event to pilot and test and learn and try new things, to be always up to speed and also to be relevant for our future generations. For this reason, we will have an out-of-home campaign, so if you will be driving in Munich, you will probably see a couple of billboards promoting our event. We will have different advertising on Spotify. We will have a partnership with local radio, and we will definitely also run, for the first time ever, an influencer marketing campaign. But we will deep dive a bit later into this topic. Finally, of course, we will not, and we don't want to forget about our loyal fans and loyal media also. So we will definitely cover the event also on our Biathlon World channels, on our website, on our social media channels. We will have a long series of press releases starting from tomorrow, where we will share additional details. And definitely, we are also planning for a media day. We are still checking and defining the final date, which we will communicate to you, but it's going to be either on the 16th or 17th of October. I now hand it back to Danny, and he will walk us through some calendar updates for the upcoming seasons.
Thanks a lot, Lorenzo. And even though it's already a couple of months since we communicated our World Cup calendar for the years 26 to 30, I would like to very briefly give you some background, because there were a couple of slight adjustments compared to what we were used in the last few years. and maybe also explain you why those changes have been made. So what we did last year is a proper review of the calendar setup in general in respect to social and environmental developments. And I can tell you that putting together a World Cup calendar is a nightmare. It's a pain in the ass because you need to consider a lot of different aspects here. But what we definitely see is that we need to have a priority on snow safety. We want to extend our reach to attract fans both on-site but also on TV, also in new markets. And we want to focus, or I think it goes without saying that we want to reduce travel for many reasons, not only from a sustainability perspective, but also in terms of the athletes' load. We all know that traveling is not the most appreciated time for an athlete. So what it showed us is that there are a couple of opportunities when you look at a calendar setup, but definitely also a couple of limitations and risks. You can either approach a calendar from a purely marketing or commercial perspective. Then I think we really focus on our core key events in Middle and Central Europe. We know where the stadia are full, where our core TV markets are, but that's only one side of the story. So we also need to, as I said, check where can we be in the middle of December? Where is it possible to host a World Cup event? And how can you combine different stages? And finally, also who is available, because you know it painfully that accommodation costs are an issue, and if you want to go to main touristic places in the middle of February, then good luck with finding hotels who can guarantee prices on a level that is still acceptable. So that's just a brief overview of what the challenges are. And finally, we came up with something that I wouldn't call a revolution, but still there are a couple of major changes I would quickly like to highlight. We will implement a new event over the New Year's period in 2 of the 4 seasons. We are all aware that this is a very popular time for sports consumption in general. Four Hills tournament in ski jumping, cross country, Tour de Ski. There are a couple of winter sport events who show how beneficial this period can be. We always in the past respected also the need for the teams, for the athletes, that they want to spend time with their families, which is absolutely clear and appreciated. But in the end, we also need to see how can we use this short time frame of approximately 3.5 months we have, and it's getting shorter in the future, in the most efficient way. So we will not increase the number of competitions over the season. We'll still remain with 70, but we will have a shorter opening. So we will start the season 1 weekend later, but instead have a 2-day event over the New Year's time. That combined is with a change of the date for the Oberhof World Cup, which traditionally was always the first weekend in January. But we are all aware about the challenges here, also from the weather side, and this is nothing against Oberhof. It's just that in Middle Europe, this time in the beginning of January in general is a tricky one. And that's why in close coordination also with the organizers in Oberhof and the German Ski Federation, we moved the event to the beginning of the 3rd trimester, and we will evaluate after this 4-year cycle how the impact of this was. And then we will have one World Cup directly after the World Championships, after the Holmenkollen World Cup in 28-29, which is also kind of a test how this can function without a break after the World Championships. For sure it's beneficial that afterwards we will go to North America, and that gives all the teams the opportunity to have a proper travel over there with time adjustment. So those are a couple of changes. As I said, no revolution, but still a bit different than in the past. Some general sport updates from our side. So some of you might have seen it. We have launched or announced our long-term strategy, Target 2030, during the Congress in September 24. The action plan is now under development in all different departments, and we want to really involve our stakeholders for our 4 core priorities mainly. This is closing the competition gap. That means that we see that the more nations we can bring to win medals, to be on the podium, to be in the top 10, the more attractive our sport remains. That's no secret, and we at the same time see that we have tendencies in many sports in a different direction, and we really want to put a focus on bringing the nations from 4 to 15 closer to the top again, and this is one of the priorities my colleague Dagmara in the development department heavily works on together with all national federations. It's a challenge, it will not happen over time, but we are really investing in the development of those teams. Then that's more in my area, the development of a modern and sustainable sport and event concept. We really want to improve and further develop our events so that they also in the future attract audiences to come in the middle of the winter in the cold, out in the forest to have a great day at the biathlon event. And our first approach from our side will be the Loop 1 Festival, where we can already test a couple of things, and we want to analyze our commercial model. I don't want to deep dive too much in that area, and goes without saying, all with the integration of our underlying principles of good governance, sustainability. And yeah, short update, some of you might have read it. We have increased the prize money for the Olympic season. What we have done is that we will spread the money we would usually pay out during the World Championships over the World Cup season. It was a conscious decision not to pay out prize money for the Olympic Winter Games themselves, as for example athletics does. That's one way to do it, but we said we want to focus on our events, and that's why we increased it and spread it out over the whole season, which was much appreciated by the athletes for sure. And also for our organizers, we will pay out extraordinary supports in the upcoming season, focused on really identified core areas and concrete projects in line with our strategic plan. So we really want to move also here from a lump sum approach to support to a more targeted and performance-based support system. Some rules updates, and it's not too many this year, luckily, but some to highlight. The total score winner of the previous season will gain a personal start right for the first 2 events of the following season. We had this already for the IBU Cup winners, but now it will be also implemented for the World Cup total score winners. There will be no tiebreaker of the total score at the end of the season, and for sure it's super obvious that this is connected to what we saw last year with the women's final in Oslo, and it would have been a pity if 2 athletes are really point even at the end of the year, and then the number of 4th places decide on who will gain the total score. So it was a good discussion in the technical committee around it, but a very unanimous decision finally to do it like this. We have slightly adjusted the new start group or seeding system. No major changes, because our evaluation showed that it really improved the quality of the races. For sure, some challenges also on the commentator and the TV side to broadcast it, but overall it really was measurable that the tension over the race was definitely better. But nevertheless, in case of adverse snow conditions, we slightly adjusted so that the top athletes are not the red group. Those of you who are really into it, the top 15 were last year in the front, and then 16 to 30 came afterwards, and now we mix them together and have an overall group of 30 which will alternate. And we will implement additional safety measures, and on the next slide I will give you some more details around it, but all rule changes can also be found on our website, and the link will be shared with the slides here. So safety and shooting in general is something that in the society gets even a bigger focus and attention year by year. Unluckily, we have happenings worldwide that underline the need to put more attention also from our side on it. We have started to really regulate the way the ammunition is stored at our events, how it is transported. There are a lot of legal constraints around it, but I don't want to go too much into detail, but this is really a focus area where we want to be in the leading or in the driver's seat from the International Federation. And we will introduce a safety marker as a mandatory item at our events so that we can avoid that unintentional bullets or cartridges are still in the rifle. So whenever the rifle is not in use for training or the competition, there will be a marker indicating that there's no bullet in the chamber. Sport shooting has implemented this already years ago, but now it's also for us time to make this mandatory. Was really well perceived by the athletes. Usually if you change things, you get a lot of pushback, but here everybody clearly understood the need for it, and I think it will be a smooth implementation. And this is already it from my side, from a sports side. As I said, not too much, and I'm happy to answer any kind of additional questions afterwards. But before we get there, I would like to hand it back to Lorenzo for some updates on social media and communication.
Thank you, Dani. And yeah, this year, also following a bit a briefing from Thorsten, we thought it would be a good idea not just to focus on, let's say, the sports side of things, but considering the spread of new professional figures, such as like content creators, influencers, we thought it would be good also to explain a bit better where we are from a social media perspective, where we want to go, and basically where social media sits in our overarching strategy. So before entering into the details, I want to take a very quick step back and show you a bit what's our Target 2030 strategic plan and where digital media sit in this big picture. As Dani mentioned, we have a quite clear vision, we have a clear mission, and as a company we have defined 5 strategic areas we wanna focus on. You can see on this slide, we have empowering our federations, we wanna enhance our event, we wanna definitely extend our reach, innovating our future, and implementing a good governance. I would say it's quite clear that in this scenario, we cannot ignore the role of new media, we cannot ignore the role of social media, especially when it comes to innovating our future and extending our reach. We could, I would say, debate quite a lot on the role of social media in our society, a lot of pros, a lot of cons, but definitely within like our communications department and within IBU, we believe social media at the moment is one of the most effective way to extend our reach. In the past, we were used basically to engage with our community of super loyal, super engaged fans. But at the moment, and starting from last season, we have started introducing this concept of casual fans. What is a casual fan? On average, in any sport property or international federation, the fan base is composed by 20% of hardcore fans and 80% of casual fans. So 20% are deeply into the sport, passionate about the sport, while 80% just have few touch points with the sport, and definitely they're not that much into a sport. And in our opinion, here it's where we have the biggest opportunity. As you can see from on the right-hand side, we have already started this journey a few seasons ago, and when it comes to the overall and cumulated audience, social media audience of the biathlon family, we have been able to increase by more than 300%, moving from 500 millions to 1.7 billions. But we still believe the opportunity is bigger. And the main challenge we have to solve is how to engage with new generations, how we attract Gen Z. We know these Gen Zers have a completely different media behavior, and to understand a bit more about their characteristics and their features, we have conducted over the course of the last months a Gen Z study. So we have interviewed more than 1,500 Gen Zers. We had focus group on in-person focus group across 6 different markets. We gathered a lot of data, and somehow we've been able to translate all those results and data and analytics into 3 key recommendations when it comes to how to engage Gen Zers. We discovered that more than ever, these younger generations need to be part of a community. Usually it's a virtual community, it's a digital community, but when they share their passion with other people, their likelihood to become really passionate about the sport exponentially increases. The second key learning was about the creation of new touch points. Once again, we know that TV is not anymore the main entry point for new generations. I would say in biathlon, this change is a bit less prominent, but still we want to really to prepare our future. So we want to, of course, TV broadcasters are still a key priority for us, but at the same time we want to be ready and we want to access and we want to open new entry point for our sport. The third, last but not least, recommendation is about our athletes. Athletes have been always at the core of our sport, but more than ever, athletes are playing a key role to attract new generations. New generations are interested in behind the scenes, are interested in to discover personal lives of the athletes, and sometimes their interest is much more in the athlete than in the sport itself. In order to translate those three key strategic imperatives into real actions and tangible actions, we have already started from last season to work a lot with our athletes and for our athletes. We have hired an athlete content creator, so basically we have tasked one person to go to the event and produce content specifically for our athletes. This was a great success. Our athletes perceived this in a very positive way, and over 4 World Cup plus World Championships, we've been able to collaborate with more than 70 athletes with great results on social media, more than 10 million video views. We have also released an application for our Biathlon Content Hub, which is the repository of competition footage that is accessible for our partners and our stakeholders, just to have a mobile-friendly way to access content and competition footage. The third initiatives we are performing is what we call portrait series. We are shooting in these weeks different portraits with our top athletes in order to provide them with super valuable content during the Olympic season. Definitely, this is something that they will use on their social media channels. We will use as a federation, but we will also distribute to our broadcasters. And finally, it's still a matter of education. We believe there is still quite a huge gap when it comes to education, and basically helping and supporting our athletes understanding the role of those new medias, and both from a sport perspective, but mainly also from a business perspective. So if this is what we are doing for our athletes, we are also starting the collaboration with external influencers. So who are influencers? Influencers are basically individuals with a strong social media community and social media followership who could be super influential and credible when it comes to the promotion of a sport. This is, I would say, a quite used tactic, and especially to attract younger generations. And as Dani mentioned previously, we will run the first ever influencer marketing campaign during the Loop One Festival. We have basically contacted and hired 4 different influencers who will produce content for us and publish content on their social media channels to attract new audiences. And of course, we will evaluate this activity, and if successful, we will continue over the course of the next season. Last but not least, we are also aware that the spread of these new professional figures has to coexist with our already existing traditional media. Of course, as mentioned, our key priority is protect the exclusivity of our rights holder, is protect our traditional media, and safeguard our sport as a product in general. Of course, at the same time, we want to face the reality. Social media, influencer, content creators are a thing. So we have to work towards a direction of finding the right balance to mix the new media with the more traditional media. Specifically, we have already introduced a new accreditation format, which is called Commercial Content Creator. These allowed us a better control when it comes to on-site content creation, and we have updated all our commercial guidelines and reserved rights guidelines to specify exactly who should do what and who should be allowed to produce content on-site. Finally, we are also cooperating with an external service provider when it comes to detecting the piracy and detecting unauthorized content that are published online. So this is basically what we have already implemented, but definitely this is something we will keep working on in the upcoming seasons, and of course, with the main objective of finding this right balance between new and traditional media. With that said, we want to thank you for your attention, and once again, feel free to reach out anytime or to ask us any question. We will be here, so please approach us if you have any comment or you want a deep dive on any topic. Thank you very much.
Thank you, also from my side. And I don't want to crush the agenda, but if there are any questions right away, for sure, we are also happy to answer them to the whole audience.
Your questions?
Doesn't seem, yeah.
Danke. One question regarding the social media influencers. How did you identify the 4 that you chose? And can you drop any name already, or is it still a secret?
So we will share the names with you in the next weeks with the different press releases. And basically for the identification, we based our strategy on the 3 target groups I showed you during the presentation. So families, actives and experience seekers, and nowadays there are quite a lot of tools, online tools, through which you can really scan and check which is the followership of specific influencers. So basically we leveraged the power of those tools to pick the right influencer in target with our strategy. But basically the idea is to talk to these 3 key target audiences.
Thanks.
Das Forum Nordicum wird unterstützt durch die deutsche Avia Mineralöl GmbH.